before we jump into social media, which is really the whole goal of the conversation today, I've never heard a good thing about maintenance aside from people that do design build, like they actually install the work and then they maintain it, because they can generally go at a much higher profit margin because they don't need to lowball their own offer to get the sale.
Right.
So did you see, I'm guessing if by a 10% profit margin on maintenance, you were probably in that same boat where you can't charge twice or three times as much as everybody else to mow somebody's lawn, because you then price yourself out of the market. So, or is that, am I off on that, or is that?
Yeah. So, I mean, as a design build company, we still do take care of a couple of our clients, but it's not what most people would think when you think about maintenance. So we do pond maintenance, and that's totally different. But from a landscape maintenance standpoint, we have what we call our estate program. And I'm very upfront with anybody who wants to join in on that program. And all of the people in that program are people that we've worked for years, or we installed their landscape. And essentially, we just, because we have the structure in place to communicate and manage and do things, I just am using an entire team of subs to manage their property. So we've got guys that go in and cut the grass. We've got guys that manage the irrigation, guys that will go in and treat the turf, guys that go in and cut the bushes. And then we kind of maybe will step in for every once in a while, just because I have crews that are capable of that. But we're able to make money off of that kind of maintenance. And it's a different setup than what most people would see. So we're not truly a maintenance company anymore.
I got you. And then with the clients that you have that you do install, what percentage of them then retain you for maintenance versus that was just like project based, where they just had you one time and that's it until the next renovation or enhancement comes through?
Yeah, so we typically touch about 200 clients a year. In the last 2 years, we've touched about 200 individual clients, and we typically pick up two. So, I mean, we're talking about a 1%, come with us. But what we do is the guys that maintain the property, they get the business. So I have a whole team. I mean, I've got like 7 or 8 landscape companies that I refer to, and in turn, they send business back to me. So a lot of it still does stay underneath the umbrella, if you will, but it's not under kind of our management structure.
Okay, so you're not actually like trying to deviate from the core services at this point to help 2 people every couple of years. It's really, you kind of keep them on, but I'm guessing you sub it out, so then that way you can stay with exactly what you guys want to do, which is design build, more so trying to scramble a crew every so often to go maintain someone's lawn.
Yeah, exactly. And what's really cool about a lot of these people who hire us for the estate program, I mean, we have 13 people on that program. What's really cool about it is their property is a work in progress. So we go back in multiple times a year and do additional things for them, whether it's adding more lighting or changing up the landscape, or they just got bored with a certain section of their yard. I mean, they're not small properties. I mean, the smallest one we take care of is an acre.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, that's awesome, that, because I know a lot of people that I work with or talk to, they have their core values or their core services, and then as soon as somebody else with some money in their hand says, well, can you do this, they like deviate, and it takes away from what they're good at and what they're set up to do, and it kind of ruins them. So for you, was that a tough shift coming from this world of maintenance and lawn care over to design build, and then saying we're not going to do maintenance, or if we do, you have to be very special? Or did you just do a complete overhaul of the mindset as well and say, I'm good with passing off maintenance from here on out?
It's probably the hardest mind shift that I've had to make. I mean, the best thing I could equate it to is if you're driving down the road in second gear and you're like, okay, I'm just going to shift over to fifth gear and I'm going to make it everywhere I'm trying to go and just stay in fifth gear. That was what it felt like at first. It's just like this, you're putting your foot on the pedal and it's going nowhere.
Mhm.
And you're just like, well, eventually I'll get up to speed where fifth gear matters. I'll just keep working until fifth gear actually can get me the speed that I want to go. But no, it was not an easy thing to do.
Hey guys, if you're looking to grow your business, make sure you head over to contractorgrowthnetwork.com. Learn all about everything that we can do. Websites right now are the hot thing. Everybody's at home. Get on it because this is the new way that people are buying today. Contractorgrowthnetwork.com.
Let me see if I walk outside here if it would get any better.
Can you kind of walk through, I guess, just to kind of recap your Facebook strategy and your mindset, because what you're doing is not common.
It's not. I constantly am comparing myself to others. I don't know if that's healthy or not, but I'm constantly looking at what other people are doing, and at first it was like, okay, I need to mimic them in my local market. And what's changed now is now I'm looking across the country, and I'm looking to mimic people across the country instead of the people inside of my local market. The entire goal of my social media, and this is not for me, this is from Tom Reaver. So any of the ideas that I say, they're not my ideas. But the entire goal of everything I'm doing is that I am the expert, and they would feel remiss if they didn't hire me.
What do you mean by that? So let's say you put out a video. What is the emotion that somebody should feel from one of your posts after viewing or reading it?
So we have this tagline we use often, which is welcome home. The idea is your yard, your home, your space should be where you are able to go and unwind. And that's kind of a external tagline. It's time to create oasis is another one we use, but it's all driven by our core mission statement, which is we change our client's life by changing the way they live outside. So that's our core statement. And so everything kind of revolves around that core statement. So anytime we're doing a social media post or anything external, we always want to kind of portray that imagery and kind of get that idea that, hey, we're making a beautiful space for these people, and we're changing the way that they're going to live.
Can you give like an example of, you're finishing up this great project, and you now have to somehow craft this social media post, because all your posts are like, when I look at them, they're authentic and they're descriptive enough where it's like it tells enough without telling too much about what's really going on. So when you go to craft a post, what's your mindset? Like, do you take your mission statement and go, okay, how do I formulate whatever I'm trying to say around this mission statement? Or I guess what goes on in the brain of Micah Miller when you're going to post?
Well, so the first thing is I'm not trying to brag. That's kind of the first thing that I'm always very careful not to present like this unapproachable attitude in any of my video or social media posts. I want to be very approachable. So that's kind of the first thing. I'll write something out and I'll delete the whole thing. I'm like, okay, that sounds like I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not. So sometimes I have to craft a message 5 or 6 times, and sometimes I'll just save it as a draft for the next day because I don't like the message, or I can't figure it out. So often the thought process that goes through my mind is, if somebody saw this in their yard, what's the first impression that they would have? Would that be a feeling of relief? Would that be a feeling of joy? Would that be a feeling of happiness? And so I kind of start from there. But I want people to know some of the details and the hard work that goes into it and the thought process. So I also try to expose that back end, because a lot of people just see like the Instagram photogenic kind of imagery, and they have no clue the thought process and me waking up at 2 a.m. and jotting notes down because I had some crazy idea of how to design a space. Nobody ever sees that side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to expose that as well and show, the team effort that goes into a lot of the work.
And how are those posts received?
So sometimes I miss it completely. I'll do some posts and, I'll get incredible traction. And then I'll do another post and I might get 5 or 6 likes or comments. But I don't care, because there's no such thing as a bad post when I'm keeping those kind of core things in mind. I'm still popping up in people's news feed, and whether they scroll by it or whether they stop to put a like on it, I'm still front of mind. So there's no failure in my part.